Kyle Busch finally found victory lane in Richmond, marking his first win of the season. He may just be getting hot at the right time as we head into the final race of the round of 16. A few playoff drivers had trouble in Richmond. Brad Keselowski was part of an incident in Stage 1, Gary Owen was a part of multiple incidents, and Kevin Harvick was taken out late in the race.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode. Today we have the cutoff race for the round of 16. You see the four drivers out. Chase Elliott, 4 points out. Suarez, 7 points out. Trevor Bayne, 20 points out. You can't see it because it's cut off by the game, but Ryan Blaney is 21 points out coming into this race. Clint Boyer, Kyle Busch, they both have wins, so they're locked in. Kevin Harvick is mathematically locked in on points, and we're coming into this race 29 to the good, so we're looking pretty good as well. But before we go into the Roval, obviously we got a quick recap of Hailie Deegan's efforts in Las Vegas. She won Canada, our home track for this team, so she's already locked into the round of 6 in the playoffs, so she's just got to get through Las Vegas and Talladega and basically just bring the truck home each race. But she started P5, and by the final lap she ended up working her way actually backwards and fell back to P7, just like she did early on in the start. Now as she was battling alongside John Hunter Nemechek and Brett Moffitt on the last lap as she came down the back straightaway, still battling side by side with the 8 truck of John Hunter as they went into turns 3, and she just made a big power move right around the outside of the 8 and stole P6 from him as she came through on the exit of turn 4. Hailie Deegan would come through to finish P6 as Austin Hill somehow won the race. And obviously Austin Hill not a playoff driver, so no one locks themselves in to the next round yet. So that means that the other playoff drivers will have to go to Talladega and fight, unlike Hailie Deegan, who's already locked in, just waiting for this round to be over now as we sit in a really good spot as a team here right now in the Truck Series, and hopefully we can continue it. You see Todd Gilliland and Harrison Burton, they're already in must-win situations to make the next round in the Truck Series, so it's pretty straightforward what they have to do. Everyone will basically point their way in if those two do not win the race. Now, as we choose two top 15s as our incentive contract for the next one, I kind of went a little easy on that one. But here's once again the playoff grid coming into the Roval. You see Jimmy Johnson, he is 10 to the good. Keselowski 4 to the good. You actually have to add 4 extra points, so Keselowski's 8 to the good. Johnson's 14 to the good because Chase Elliott is 4 points out. But either way, it's going to be one heck of a battle between Suarez, Elliott, and Almirola as we go in to the Roval to decide the final spot in this round of 12 as we come straight to qualifying. I made it to round 2 and I was pretty much blowing the AI away in the first session, and that's exactly what I did in session 2 as we come to the oval turns 3 and turn 4, as well as we come into the last couple corners now through the right-hander. We are going to come across the line and completely blow away the AI. We set a 111.826 and we will start on the pole for the Roval.
Today, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the running of the Bank of America 400. After today, the playoff field goes from 16 to 12. And for the playoff drivers on the cusp, they'll have to fight to stay alive on the most unique track in NASCAR, the Charlotte Roval. The Roval combines an infield road course segment with the traditional 1.5-mile oval, creating a 2.28-mile, 17-turn test of racing knowledge and skill. Are you ready to see if these drivers can pass this test? NASCAR Playoff Racing is next on PRN.
All right, we are ready to get underway here in the Charlotte Roval. First time in the Cup Series going to it as we start on the pole. Chris Buescher sent to the back after failing optical scanning station multiple times, and a playoff driver that needs to win. Trevor Bayne failing technical inspection, so this is going to make his chances of making the next round even lower now as we get ready to go green. Now as we approach the green flag alongside the 4-car of Kevin Harvick, the green flag is out and we are underway in the Charlotte Roval just ahead of the 41 of Kurt Busch as we go into turn 1 for the first time, pulling away just a little bit from the 4 in the 41 now as we come through the left bend into the right bend up ahead. Got to be very careful here. This is a pretty technical road course when you think about it now. It's quite a bit of elevation changes here, and it's a really fun track to drive, especially when you get the hang of it. It's a fun track to race around, and clearly we are doing pretty well against the AI here. Starting on the pole is Kevin Harvick. Looks to my left side, but he's not able to gain the position as we come through the left-hander. We're about to approach the oval section of the track now as we come on to the oval turn 1 now, coming into turn 2 now as Harvick is just about a car length and a half behind me, sitting in P2 as he closes up on my back bumper down the back straightaway as we head into the back straightaway. And you're going to notice I slow down quite a bit earlier now into the bus stop, much earlier than I need to, and that's simply because the AI sucks so bad in the bus stop that I slow down quite a bit earlier just to kind of keep it a little more fair for them to have a chance still, because we will win this race by 20 plus seconds if I just hit the bus stop like you need to, and we're not going to allow that to happen in this episode now as we come to lap 2 in the bus stop once again here in stage 1, just coming through, and we get really loose on the exit, and that's going to allow the 4 of Kevin Harvick to get to my inside. So we only led the first lap, and now Harvick drives by on my inside and takes the lead, and he's not going to look back, and that was not what I needed. We just came through the bus stop and I hit the curb or something and got really loose, and then we lost the lead. We pulled away from 3rd and 4th there, long gone behind us, but Kevin Harvick, he pulled away just a little bit as we approach the white flag now in stage 1. Stages are very short in the Roval, obviously. The road courses have been very short this season, and maybe I'll have to look into maybe putting them up a little bit next season, the lengthwise. But now as Harvick leads on the final lap in stage 1, he's just trying to hang on as we try to run him down, and nailing the right-hander there now as we come into the next right-hander, hitting it pretty good again now as we get just a touch of the grass on the left side tires as Kurt Busch still sits P3 behind me. Kevin Harvick, obviously, he's locked into the next round mathematically on points already, so he doesn't need any more playoff points because he's already sitting really well, and I would love to get up to his bumper and maybe be able to move him to get another playoff point or two. But as we come on to the NASCAR oval now, through turns 1 and 2, he is going to pull away, stretch that gap right out as we approach the back straightaway, approaching the bus stop, as well as Harvick has probably close to a second gap right now on me as we come into the bus stop for the final time in stage 1. Kurt Busch lurking in the background with Brad Keselowski behind him as well, and Daniel Suarez right now is running in the top 10, and he's the only guy running in the top 10 that is really in that close playoff picture now, as he might be looking very strong here as we come through the last few corners to get second in the stage. And really the picture that we're looking at is between Suarez, Almirola, and Chase Elliott. That's our main focus right now. Almirola and Elliott both missed out on playoff or regular points in stage 1, but Daniel Suarez gets 5, which puts Daniel Suarez 2 points out of the final spot in the playoffs right now. As we go into stage 2, Chase Elliott still remains 4 points out as Almirola hangs on right now to the final position as we go into stage 2 to start alongside Kevin Harvick.
Be smart, keep your head on straight. Are you ready now?
And the green flag is back out. Stage 2 is underway, just ahead of 41 of Kurt Busch and the 2 of Keselowski as we go into turn 1, overshooting turn 1 just a little bit, kind of like Larson did in real life, but certainly a different outcome as we make contact with Kurt Busch now, and that's going to allow him to get up to P2, with Daniel Suarez now behind me battling alongside Keselowski as we look to the inside of Kurt Busch, already now powering ahead of him for a brief moment, but we get really loose on the exit of the corner, but we do pull away and get ahead of him and clear him. And now as he's going to once again look to my right hand side as I overshoot the right hander, and now Kurt's going to be alongside me as we make a little bit of contact now through the left hander, but we do finally get clear of him once again as we approach the oval section of the track, and hopefully we will be able to stretch out this gap. But you see Kevin Harvick, he has taken full advantage of my battle with Kurt Busch. He has pulled away by 2+ seconds just in a really one section of the track. So certainly a setback for myself and Kurt, but hopefully we can maybe get lucky and run him down, but we're likely not going to be able to run down the 4 at this point, as he has really been setting a good pace. Even if I was hitting the bus stop like I need to, he'd probably still be just as fast as me, if not maybe still a little bit faster now, especially through the first couple sections of the track. But as we come to 2 to go in the stage, we did run him down a little bit as we pulled away from the cars behind. And really right now, this race has been a very lackluster race. We have not had anything going on other than Daniel Suarez really just powering his way into a potential last spot in the playoffs for the round of 12 as we come across the line, hit the white flag in stage 2 through turns 1. Harvick just ahead of me as we have run him down finally, and we get into the wall on the exit of turn 1. Certainly not what I needed, and that's going to be a little bit of a setback now, as we don't really have any damage on the car. Obviously slightly cosmetic damage, but not something that's going to impact our performance on the car as we get in the grass a little bit on the exit of the right-hander down the straightaway into the next right-hander. A few more corners before we approach the oval section of the track as we get into the wall, actually again hitting the wall a few times on this lap. Now as we approach the oval section, Harvick turns onto it. Now we follow him through, cutting that corner as much as we can to see if we could gain any ground, but unfortunately he was able to outrace me through the whole last little portion before we came onto the oval, and that stretched out the gap big time. Now as he approaches the bus stop, as we follow through now on the last lap in stage 2, just trying to make it back to the line to hang on to P2, as Harvick is going to easily win this stage, as we're not going to be able to catch him unless he wrecks in this last corner. But now on the exit of the NASCAR turn 4, we come in through the last few corners. We're going to get second once again in stage 2, as Harvick has added 2 more playoff points to his name in this race, and that is not good at all for the competition, as Daniel Suarez once again gets 5th, and this time that puts him in to the playoffs, the round of 12. Suarez is in, Almirola and Elliott are out, and now Suarez, he got 4th actually, so he is sitting really good. He's approximately, I would say, 5 or 6, maybe 7 points to the good as we start this last stage. So Almirola and Elliott have to beat Suarez if they want to be the guy to get this last spot in the playoffs, as we lose 1 spot from our pit stops in repairing the car. The green flag is out and the last stage is underway. It's a 13-lap dash to the end of this race as we look to the inside briefly of Kurt Busch, not wanting to get into him. I'm trying to be careful with these guys. I don't want to ruin anyone's days, as we're pretty much locked into the playoffs ourselves now. We're into the round of 12 with these 2 good stage runs, so we don't have to worry about anything ourselves. We just need to be careful racing around these other playoff drivers, making sure we don't screw them up and maybe cost them a chance at making this round of 12. So really I'm trying to be careful, but I'm trying to be aggressive at the same time, because I really want to get a win here in the Roval to get our 3rd career win. Even though 2 wins, we've already got 2 wins this season in my rookie season, so I'm already content with that, but we want to get whatever chance we can get at a win now as we follow the 41 and the 4 onto the oval part of the track, as they stretch out the gap a little bit now as we pull away from P4 and P5 as they fall way behind me, as I think Daniel Suarez or Brad Keselowski is up to 4th right now as we come through the bus stop. Harvick leads Kurt Busch into it. We close up just a little bit, but I slowed up to make sure we just don't completely blow them out through the bus stop. This is the farthest back we've actually been in this race, down to P3, so certainly we've had a great race so far, just like how Richmond started. Now it's just up to me to continue that now in this last stage as we hit 12 laps to go at the line as we ride behind the 41 going into turns 1. It is Keselowski behind me in 4th, as Daniel Suarez has actually dropped down a few positions, but it really doesn't matter to him right now as long as he beats the 10 of Almirola or the 9 of Chase Elliott. He will be the last car in the round of 12. So Suarez looking really good right now, and he was the driver I doubted coming into this playoffs. I said Suarez was not going to make the round of 12. I said Paul Menard wouldn't make the round of 12. Both of them looking like they will make it. I said Trevor Bayne wouldn't make it. He's obviously not going to make it now, as he's in a must-win situation. But Suarez and Menard certainly proved me wrong now as we get into the wall, as we approach the oval section of the track. And the car is starting to get loose at this point, and that allows Keselowski to close that gap to my back bumper now as we approach the back straightaway on the NASCAR oval. Now as in the back we have a huge crash. This meant Benedetto into the outside wall, and that's going to collect Ty Dillon and many other cars, as that was big right there. Matt Benedetto just went head on into the outside wall, and that was going to bring out a caution, obviously. And I think Matt Benedetto must have had a tire failure or maybe some type of brake failures. He just went, like, it looked like he almost went full throttle into that outside wall. But unfortunately for him, he's probably out of the race now as we get ready to go green. Once again, the green flag is back out, and now it is 9 laps to go in this race. We immediately look to the inside of the 41 of Kurt Busch. Now as we make a little bit of contact on his left door coming into the left-hander, we do get clear of him and pull away straight away as we move back up to P2 behind the Ford car of Kevin Harvick. As once we fell back to third, we couldn't really get back past the 41, but now that we've gotten ahead of him, hopefully we will be able to hang on now, as we don't have many laps to go in this race, just 9 laps left in the Roval. Now as Kurt Busch approaches my back bumper, just about giving me a shot to the bumper, but he is not able to do so as we kind of cut the left-hander getting into the grass as we approach the entrance to the NASCAR oval, trying to get as low as I can onto the entrance of that corner. Now as we come through the NASCAR oval turns 1 and 2, approaching the back straightaway as Kurt Busch closes up on my back bumper, now allowing him to maybe take a look going into the bus stop, but he's going to obviously think better of that as we come through the bus stop. Out of it, now pulling away from the 41, closing in just a little bit on the Ford car of Kevin Harvick as we approach the final few corners to complete the first lap since this restart, as it will be 8 laps to go at the line. And really, we were just trying to maintain our track position but close in on Harvick, but it was so hard to close in on the Ford car now as we come into turns 1, and I just couldn't quite get to Kevin Harvick as he just was setting a very solid pace, just like Denny Hamlin did in Watkins Glen, but Denny Hamlin obviously set in an insane pace at Watkins Glen. So we've come up a little bit short here at these road courses so far. We've been in contention in Watkins Glen, and now we're in contention again here in the Roval. Much better of a chance we have this time around here, though, in the Roval than we had in Watkins Glen, as we really just need to keep hitting our marks, and maybe we will be able to close that gap on Kevin Harvick as we approach once again the oval section of the track, getting close to that outside wall nearly now as we come to the inside line as Harvick he pulls away. That's really where the AI pull away from me, is when we enter the oval section of the track. The AI just nail it so good that I just cannot keep up with them. And now as we have a bit of action going on in this opening lap we just had on the restart, you see Martin Truex Jr. getting hit in the back bumper by Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch getting into it with Ryan Newman as they make quite a bit of contact. So certainly some playoff drivers getting a little physical in the back now as we come to lap 25 of 29. You see Kevin Harvick has driven away. He is long gone, and my car was starting to get pretty loose, kind of like it did in Richmond last episode, but not nearly to the point or to the severity of how loose the car was in the last episode. But we're certainly starting to lose quite a bit of time, and as we come very close to nailing the barrier in the bus stop, that could have been bad, but thankfully we kept it off as we have just over a 2-second lead over third place Kurt Busch. But he is starting to close that gap as I'm starting to deal with this loose car as we get really loose through the last corner, hitting the wall across the line. No caution's going to come out, but now 4 laps to go. That allows the 41 to get within a second and a half of me as we come through turns 1. And Kurt Busch is also bringing the 2 with Brad Keselowski with him into this fight now as they close the gap on me as we're starting to slide right through the corners. But now as we approach the next lap of lap 27, we certainly are kind of pulling away from Kurt Busch at this point, but now as we go into turn 1, once again getting loose, and that's certainly not what we need to be having happening to the car right now. And that brings the 41 right back into the picture as he closes up on my back bumper now as we get loose again, just trying to hang on. We only have 3 laps to go in this race as Kevin Harvick, he is long gone. But you see how many drivers we have in the picture now as Kurt Busch looks to my right side, and he has a chance to make a move on me now as he makes a little bit of contact with me, shoving me wide, and he is going to get clear of me now for P2 as we drift back to third, just ahead of Keselowski and Boyer as Daniel Suarez lurks in the background, and Keselowski nails me in the back bumper and just about dumps me. I'm not sure what the heck that was about, but he's actually going to lose time from that, so we're going to pull away from him and Clint Boyer as they battle side by side. But now going towards the bus stop, Kurt Busch with a big gap between himself and I now as Clint Boyer sits P4 right behind me as he leads Keselowski and Suarez. And at this point, it's looking like, as we come to 2 laps to go in this race, Daniel Suarez is likely going to be the last car to make this round of 12 unless something drastically changes here within the last 2 laps now as we hit a 1:16.1, which is 5 seconds off of our pole time that we set in qualifying, but still getting pretty sideways going into the first few corners. We did close up on Kurt Busch just a little bit, but now he's starting to stretch that gap out as we go through the first sector of this course as we come down to the straightaway, trying to close that gap on him, but it's just not happening. As Kevin Harvick, the leader, he is long gone. He's probably already approaching the oval section of the track. I would not be surprised if he was already on it. But now, as you see in the background in my mirror, as we get really loose, allowing the 14 to close right up on my back bumper. But Suarez and now Keselowski are really into a big battle as Suarez takes the position away from Keselowski to move up to P5, as him and Boyer right on my back bumper now as we come down into the back straightaway on the NASCAR back straightaway, approaching the bus stop as they are right on my bumpers as we go into the bus stop. But it certainly shouldn't be a factor as we kind of go a little fast through the bus stop, hitting it like I should have this whole race. But we pull away from them as we approach the white flag in this race. Now, as we approach the last few corners behind second place of Kurt Busch, we're going to come through and just about nail the barrier again. We get so close to that thing, and as the white flag comes out, you see Kevin Harvick, the leader, 8.5 seconds ahead of myself, and probably about 7.5 ahead of Kurt Busch. So he has completely dominated this race, and he's going to likely win unless something happens, but he's going to add another 7 playoff points to his name if he holds on to the victory, setting him up very well for this round of 12, as now Daniel Suarez trying to hang on to get the last spot in the round of 12 after he pretty much stole it from Almirola, as Almirola's had an absolutely terrible race, and Almirola's luck this season has been up and down. He's run really well. He's had races like this where he just hasn't been on par. Now it's going to cost him a playoff spot as we come down towards the back straightaway for the final time as we exit the oval turn 2 into the bus stop here in a few seconds, just ahead of Clint Boyer. Now for the final time as we fly through the bus stop, I decided, you know what, this is the last lap. I'm going to hit the bus stop like I need to hit the bus stop instead of slowing down significantly early as we come through NASCAR turns 3 and 4. For the final time, Kevin Harvick will win in the Roval. As we come through the final few corners, we're going to get P3 in our first Cup race at the Roval, and Daniel Suarez likely is the last car in the round of 12, as Almirola and Elliott both had absolutely horrible races, and it looks like it's going to cost them a spot in this round of 12, as Denny Hamlin is the last car in the top 10, and Elliott got 11th, and Almirola got 23rd, so Almirola just a terrible race for him, as Eric Jones 5 laps down in 40th, so he must have DNF'd late in this race. But now as we get ready to look at your playoff grid of who made this round of 12, there you see it. Daniel Suarez made it. Jimmy Johnson actually was the last car in, as Suarez had such a good race. He overtook Johnson in the points as well. But Johnson made it by 12 points over Elliott. Almirola, Blaney, and Bain are your other 3 drivers out. So certainly surprised to see Blaney, Almirola, and Elliott out. They all really should have made it, but unfortunately they didn't. Now as we have advanced to the round of 12, this next round, Dover, Kansas, Talladega, I think it's Dover, Talladega, Kansas in that order. So we are going to have to really be on it once we go into this round of 12 as we get ready to look at the playoff grid that we're facing. How many points are we going to be to the good? We'll find out in a moment.
Nice job advancing to the next round of the playoffs. It doesn't get any easier, so stay focused.
I don't know if we should be taking advice from a guy that missed the
Made it
playoffs.
round of 12. Keep working. You haven't won anything yet.
All right, great words from those guys, as we have a lot of happy drivers, so that's good, as we're not making any rivals yet. Now as we look towards the playoff grid to start this round of 12, next race will be Dover, where we finished in the 20s earlier in the spring after actually flipping over. So hopefully we avoid that this time around, because you're going to see the playoff grid right here. It is close. We cannot afford a bad race anymore throughout the rest of this season, as now we are only 7 points to the good. It says 5, but Keselowski's the first guy out, 2 out. So we're 7 to the good, as Harvick is 41. He's safe, but no one else is safe. So I will see you guys in the next episode. If you enjoyed, subscribe, like, comment. Those would all be very appreciated. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch one of my videos, and I will see you guys in the next episode for Dover as we start the round of 12.